Hi everyone, Denise here again, and I'm happy to teach you another lesson. And today we're going to do some fun things. We're going to do nachos, which includes some mince, tomato salsa, guacamole, some char-grilled sweet corn, and for dessert I'm going to do churros with a chocolate chili dipping sauce. So I'm going to start with the mince today. And I think by now you should know that when you're going to fry mince or chicken or beef, whatever you're going to cook in a saucepan, you're going to start off frying a little bit at a time so that it can caramelize. Okay, so I have got a big flame. I've got a saucepan here, no oil or butter in the saucepan, because even though I'm using lean minced beef, excuse me, there is always a little bit of fat in the meat. And then I'm going to just do, as I said, a little bit at a time, let it caramelize, and as I'm going along, I'm going to add a little bit of the onion. This is 1 onion chopped and 1 green pepper chopped. So just as you go along, keep adding little bits of the mince. And the reason why I'm doing this is if I add all the mince at once, then it's going to draw water, and then your mince is going to boil instead of actually frying and getting that good caramelization. So just keep adding a little bit of onion, a little bit of green pepper. Okay, so I've got all the mince really well caramelized. The onion is cooked, the green pepper is cooked, and now I can actually add the other ingredients that's going to flavor the mince. Let me just get this out the way. So I'm going to add a packet of taco seasoning, beef taco. I like this brand, but you can look in the supermarket for something to flavor your tacos. And then I'm going to add a tin of red kidney beans. I'm just quickly going to drain off some of this liquid. And then instead of adding them whole to the mince, I'm just going to put them out onto a plate and then mash them a little bit with a fork, just so that they aren't completely whole when I put this in. You don't want to mash them completely. There should be still some texture, and also so that you can see the beans in the mince. Okay, so I'm going to add that. And then I'm going to add about 5 milliliter of ground cumin and a half a cup of boiling water. You can just turn the heat down a little. And now I'll just allow this to simmer for probably about 15 minutes for the flavors to develop. And then it's ready to serve with all my other side dishes. So I'm going to do the tomato salsa with you, I'm going to do the guacamole with you, and also the street corn right after this. For the tomato salsa, I want to start off with roasted tomatoes. because I want that flavor of a char grilled tomato. So I've set my oven on 230 degrees Celsius. That is the hottest that my oven can go. So just whatever you can do, which your oven setting, whatever hottest setting you've got, put it on that. Then I'm going to use really nice and ripe tomatoes, cut them in quarters and put them in an oven-proof dish. Okay, so I'm using 4 tomatoes for this recipe. If you're wanting to make more than using 4, if you're going to make a whole lot of tomato salsa, then just take a lot of ripe tomatoes. You can also keep it in the fridge once you've made the salsa. So I'm putting a bit of salt and pepper over that. And then I'm going to coat it with a little bit of olive oil. Probably about 30 milliliter, 2 tablespoons. And you can just use your hands to coat them. Then I'm going to put it in the oven for about 40 minutes. So it is quite a long time, but I really want that char grilled flavor on the tomatoes. So I'll put the timer on 40 minutes. And that should be enough to char grill them. So these have been in for 40 minutes. And there you can see they are lovely charred, and they've even got a little bit of the brown color, which is really going to add flavor to the salsa. So now I can do the rest of the salsa. I'm going to fry a little bit of onion in some heated olive oil. I've got some olive oil which is already heating up in here. About 1 tablespoon, 15 milliliters of onion. Just until it softens. And then I'm going to add 1 clove of garlic, which I've grated. And then I'm going to add the tomatoes, so they need to be chopped up. If you haven't got a stick blender or a food processor, I'm going to use a stick blender to chop them up. But as I said, if you haven't got it, then just use a scissors to chop it up. Oops, this is hot. So I'm going to put it into this container which I use for my stick blender. Oops. If you want to, you can remove the skin before the time, but if you use a stick blender, then it chops it up so finely that you don't actually even notice that there are skins in there. And actually those caramelized char grilled skins add a lovely flavor. So let me just wipe up my mess here. And then I'm going to use the stick blender. So this is really a very nice tool to have. If you're planning to get married or getting engaged or for Christmas presents, this is something you can really ask for. Okay, so this is, I'm going in with the rest of the ingredients, the onion and the garlic. And then I'm going to add a little bit of brown sugar, about a tablespoon. Always adding sugar when you're using tomato. and then a little bit of brown vinegar, also a tablespoon, 15 milliliter. And can add a little bit more salt and pepper for flavoring. And then if you like hot food, you can add some chili to this. You can add chopped up fresh chili. I've got some chili grinder. This is a chili pepper grinder, which you can just add a grinding of that. And then you have a little bit of a bite to your salsa. So this is going to just simmer for a little while until the sauce thickens, and then it's ready to serve. Okay, so for the guacamole, I'm going to use 3 ripe avos. I've already chopped 2 of them. I'm just left one to show you how to chop them up. So you just take a knife and score right up to the skin. So I've left the skin on these, and then turn it and score again, so that you end up like with cubes of avo. And then just scoop it out with a spoon, and you end up with chunks of avo. Okay, so just score right up to the skin, turn it and score again, and then scoop it out with a spoon. And with that, I'm using lime juice. It's a juice of 1 lime. If you haven't got lime, you can just use a lemon. So limes are a little bit smaller than lemons, and they've got quite a distinctive flavor, but it will be absolutely fine if you just want to use lemon juice. And then I'm using a small onion chopped, and a small tomato chopped. I haven't skinned it, I've just used it with skin and all. And then a jalapeno chili, which are these fairly big green chilies. I've chopped it up very finely. If you don't want to put chili in, you can just leave it out. And then I'm also putting in cumin. You'll often find cumin in the Spanish Mexican foods. And then salt and pepper. And a good generous amount of chopped coriander, freshly chopped coriander. So this is quite a chunky guacamole. I don't know if you're familiar with the guacamoles that you buy in the supermarkets, but they're normally just really mashed up avocado. So this is really a chunky guacamole and very delicious to serve with your nachos. So that is ready to serve with your nachos. For the corn on the cob, the char grilled corn on the cob, I'm using the sweet corns, and if you like, you can tie back the husks like this with some string. It really looks attractive if you can serve them like that. Otherwise, if the husks break off, it's fine, just use it like that. So I've boiled these for 15 minutes in salted water. And to get that char grilled flavor, I'm going to do them on a braai. That char grilled flavor just gives that extra final flavor to the corn. So I've got a fire going outside. I'm going to go and braai them on the coals quickly, and then I'll come back and show you what to do next. So the corn has come off the fire. It's really well char grilled now. I'm going to serve it on an attractive platter. I'll just put the 3 on there, and then show you how to serve this. So now I'm going to add a few more toppings to this, just to make them extra delicious. I'm going to do a little bit of mayonnaise. This is 1 cup of mayonnaise and 1 tablespoon again of lime juice. If you haven't got lime, you can use lemon juice. And then I'm using a little bit of chipotle sauce. So chipotle is actually smoked red pepper, the flavor of that. And I'm using this Tabasco one, but you can look in the supermarkets for something that has got the chipotle flavor. Otherwise, you can use smoked paprika. So just a few, and just be warned, it is quite hot. So just be careful how much you add of that. And then some salt and pepper. So I'm not going to spoon all of this over because I've got a few more to use, but this is just to show you. So drizzle a little bit of this over the corn. And then I'm going to add some chorizo sausage, which I've chopped up. So about this size will be enough for all 6 of the corn cobs that you've done. And then I've chopped this chorizo sausage up into little chunks like this and fried it a little bit in a pan just to render some of the fat and to make it crispy. So this you can then sprinkle over the corn. I'll just do all of this. And then, of course, a little bit of Parmesan cheese, which I'm going to sprinkle again. Finely grated Parmesan cheese. These little sachets are absolutely perfect for that. And then again, some finely chopped coriander. And there is the sweet corn, or the char grilled sweet corn, that we're going to serve with the nachos. So the tomato salsa has been simmering for about 15 to 20 minutes and the consistency is perfect now. So I'm going to just transfer it into a little serving dish. So we've done the mince this morning earlier, and we've done the guacamole, we've got the tomato salsa, we've got the corn, so we're ready to serve the whole nachos meal. So on a serving dish, something like this, if you're going to do individual portions or for a whole crowd, you can choose. I'm going to show you how to serve it for an individual. So I'm just going to pile up some nachos corn chips onto a plate. You can just spread them out. So if you can use Doritos if you want to. You can use any corn flavored chips that you can get. I like to use these round ones. They sort of give a nice look to the meal. Then I'm going to pile up some of that mince we made this morning earlier. And on top of that, I'm going to put some cheddar cheese. And I'm going to put this in the oven now. I've got my grilling element of the oven on. You can see once again the element is red, and I'm going to put this directly beneath that element. So I want that cheese to melt, and then it's ready to serve. And then with all of this, we've got the guacamole, as I said, and I'm also going to serve some sour cream with that. that all goes as accompaniments to your mince. And then with the corn, we can serve a few lime wedges. Just going to put that on the side. And of course, everything can have a good lot, a good topping of coriander. So the coriander is always a feature in these foods. So I'm just going to add a little bit more everywhere to my dish. So let's have a look at the meal. So that has melted and it's perfect and ready to serve. So there is the whole nachos meal of today. And all we still need to do is the churros. Okay, so for the churros, we actually make the batter on the stove in a saucepan. I'm starting off with 1 cup of boiling water. And the saucepan is really hot already. 1 cup of boiling water, 45 milliliter of sugar, 3 tablespoons, 60 milliliter of butter, and a pinch of salt. So bring this to the boil. It's important that this is boiling before you add the cake flour. So it must boil, must be that hot before you add the cake flour. So I'm going to add a whole cup of cake flour all at once. So the water is boiling. I'm going to add this all at once and stir it. And then remove it from the heat. So this is a very weird, unusual batter, and you normally think that you've made a mistake, but it's all fine. So just be patient, carry on stirring until it pulls away from the sides and forms a ball like that. Okay, so that is actually correct. And then you're going to let this cool off slightly, and then you're going to add a whole egg to this, and then keep stirring until it comes together again. So I'm just going to let this cool off a little bit. So this is cooled down a little slightly, and now I'm going to add one whole egg. Just add it directly to your dough and then start mixing again. And as I said, once again, when you do this, it's such a strange batter that you think you've actually made a mistake. But as you keep mixing, you just keep stirring, and suddenly it just comes together and pulls away from the side. So just keep stirring. And finally it all comes together, and there we go. So this is ready now for the churros. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it into a piping bag. So I've got a nice big piping bag with a nozzle on the front. It's like a star nozzle, and I'm going to put all my dough into this piping bag, and then we're going to pipe about 6 centimeter pieces into hot oil. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in there. I'm going to squeeze this up to the front, And I've got a huge saucepan filled with oil in there to fry it. And then you need to have some paper toweling ready to drain off the excess oil once it's fried. And also going to have a little bit of cinnamon sugar, which I'm going to sprinkle over when it comes out of the oil. So I'm just going to test a teeny little piece of the batter in that oil to see if it's ready. Yes, it seems perfectly ready to me. So now I'm going to take a scissors and I'm going to cut off about 6 centimeter strips of these as they come out of the, oh, but I didn't even need to cut, it's just coming off on its own. So I'll just wait for those to finish and then I will do the rest and then we'll make the chocolate sauce. So for the chocolate sauce I'm using a 150 gram chocolate. It's just the normal dark chocolate, and I'm going to use a half a cup of cream with that. So I've chopped up the chocolate. And I'm using 30 milliliter of strong black coffee and then a little bit of syrup, about 15 milliliter. I'm using maple syrup, maple flavored syrup. You can just use normal golden syrup. And that is going to go into the microwave. I'm going to start off with about 30 seconds. I just want the chocolate to melt. So, all of them done. They're nice and crisp. If you can listen and hear that. And I've drained them on paper toweling, and now I'm just going to serve them in an attractive plate. So I'm going to transfer them to this plate. Quite hot. And then I'm going to dust them with a little bit of cinnamon sugar first. I know some people don't like cinnamon at all, so if you don't like cinnamon, you can leave out this step. I'm going to just do a little cinnamon sugar. And then the chocolate sauce. So I've got the chocolate in there that we melted, the chocolate, the syrup, coffee and cream, and that is to dip the churros in, and I'm just going to transfer that into a bowl as well. And there we go. So all you do now is take a churro, dip it in chocolate, and hum, delicious.